Imagine a single waterway, just over 190 kilometers long, connecting two seas. Now imagine that this narrow passage carries nearly 12% of global trade. Every day, hundreds of massive cargo ships pass through it. Oil, natural gas, food, cars, electronics, raw materials, billions of dollars worth of goods move through this channel every single day. If it stops, the world feels it. Fuel prices can rise, shipping costs increase, store shelves may take longer to refill, factories can run out of parts, global supply chains begin to slow. This isn't just another canal. It's one of the most strategically important waterways on Earth. Welcome to the Suez Canal. Stretching across Egypt, the Suez Canal connects the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea, creating the shortest maritime route between Europe and Asia. Before it existed, ships traveling between these continents faced a much longer journey. They had to sail all the way around the southern tip of Africa, passing the Cape of Good Hope. That route added thousands of kilometers, weeks of extra travel, and enormous costs. For centuries, merchants dreamed of a direct connection between the two seas. Ancient Egyptian rulers explored the idea. Powerful empires considered it, but the engineering challenge was simply too great. Then, in the 19th century, everything changed. French diplomat Ferdinand de Lesseps convinced Egypt's ruler to support one of the most ambitious engineering projects in history. Construction began in 1859. More than 1 million workers would eventually contribute to the project over the next 10 years. Digging through endless desert, removing millions of cubic meters of sand, working under brutal heat and extremely difficult conditions. When the canal finally opened in 1869, it transformed global trade forever. A voyage that once took weeks longer could now be completed far more quickly. Europe and Asia had never been closer by sea. Almost overnight, the Suez Canal became one of the world's most valuable trade routes. But owning such a critical passage also meant controlling one of the world's greatest economic and political assets. And throughout history, that control has sparked international rivalry, wars, and some of the most dramatic geopolitical crises ever witnessed. From the moment it opened, the Suez Canal became one of the world's most valuable waterways. Every ship that passed through it saved both time and money. Instead of sailing around the entire continent of Africa, ships could now travel directly between Europe and Asia. For many routes, the canal reduced the journey by nearly 7,000 kilometers. That meant lower fuel costs, faster deliveries, and more profitable global trade. As international commerce expanded, so did the canal's importance. Oil tankers from the Middle East, container ships from China, grain carriers from Europe, all relied on this narrow passage. The Suez Canal had become the beating heart of global shipping. But with great economic value came great political power. During the late 19th century, Britain recognized that whoever controlled the canal could influence international trade and protect vital routes to its colonies. In 1882, British forces occupied Egypt and secured control over the canal for decades. For nearly a century, the Suez Canal became one of the world's most contested strategic assets. Then, in 1956, everything changed. Egypt's president, Gamal Abdel Nasser, announced that the Suez Canal would be nationalized. The decision shocked Britain and France. Together with Israel, they launched a military operation to regain control. The conflict became known as the Suez Crisis. Although the invasion achieved some military success, intense international pressure forced the invading countries to withdraw. For the first time, Egypt gained full control over one of the world's most important trade routes. The crisis also marked a major turning point in global politics. It signaled the decline of old colonial powers and the emergence of a new international balance. Yet the canal's challenges were far from over. Wars in the region forced it to close for several years. Hundreds of ships became stranded. Global trade had to return to the long route around Africa. The economic consequences were enormous. Eventually, the canal reopened. It was expanded, deepened, and modernized to handle the growing size of global shipping. Today, some of the largest container ships ever built pass through its waters every single day. But despite all these improvements, the world would soon discover just how vulnerable this critical waterway still was. One unexpected event would bring global trade to a standstill. For decades, the Suez Canal became one of the busiest shipping routes on Earth. Every year, thousands of vessels carrying trillions of dollars worth of cargo passed through its narrow waters. Everything seemed to work like clockwork. Until March 23, 2021, a massive container ship called the Ever Given entered the canal during a powerful sandstorm. Strong winds reduced visibility. As the ship navigated one of the canal's narrowest sections, something went terribly wrong. The vessel lost control. Its enormous bow slammed into one bank. Its stern struck the opposite side. Within moments, one of the largest cargo ships ever built had become completely wedged across the canal. Traffic stopped instantly. No ship could pass. To the world, it looked almost unbelievable. One single ship had blocked one of the most important trade routes on the planet. Within hours, hundreds of cargo ships began forming long queues at both ends of the canal. Oil tankers, container ships, livestock carriers, chemical tankers. Every day the blockage continued, billions of dollars worth of global trade was delayed. Some shipping companies made an extraordinary decision. Rather than wait, they turned their ships around and sailed thousands of extra kilometers around the Cape of Good Hope at the southern tip of Africa. The detour added days, and in some cases weeks, to delivery times. Fuel costs increased dramatically. Supply chains around the world were disrupted. Factories waited for parts. Retailers faced delays. Even consumers on the other side of the world began feeling the impact. Meanwhile, engineers worked around the clock to free the stranded ship. Powerful tugboats pulled from multiple directions. Excavators removed thousands of tons of sand from around the bow. Specialized dredging equipment deepened the canal beneath the vessel. For nearly a week, the world watched live updates, satellite images, and rescue efforts. Finally, on March 29, the Ever Given was successfully refloated. The canal reopened. Ships began moving once again. But the incident revealed an uncomfortable truth. Modern global trade depends on a handful of critical choke points. And when just one of them fails, the entire world can feel the consequences. That realization pushed governments, shipping companies, and engineers to rethink the future of one of the most important waterways ever built. More than 150 years after its opening, the Suez Canal remains one of the most important engineering achievements in human history. Every day, massive container ships, oil tankers, LNG carriers, and cargo vessels from every corner of the world continue to pass through this narrow waterway. Together, they transport everything from smartphones and automobiles to food, medicine, and energy supplies. Without the Suez Canal, global trade would become significantly slower, more expensive, and far less efficient. That's why Egypt continues investing billions of dollars to modernize the canal. In recent years, new sections have been widened and deepened to allow larger ships and improve traffic flow. The goal is simple: keep one of the world's most important trade routes operating safely for decades to come. But the future also brings new challenges. Ships are becoming larger every year. Global trade continues to grow. Climate change, geopolitical tensions, and regional conflicts all have the potential to disrupt one of the world's most critical maritime corridors. Protecting the Suez Canal has become more than an economic priority. It has become a global necessity. Because when this canal slows down, the entire world feels the consequences. Few places on Earth have such an enormous influence over international commerce. It is not the longest canal, nor the widest, yet its strategic location makes it one of the most valuable waterways ever created. The Suez Canal proves that sometimes, a narrow strip of water can reshape the global economy. It connects continents, supports international trade, and reminds us how deeply interconnected our modern world has become. From the products we buy, to the fuel that powers our cities, its impact reaches billions of lives every single day. The next time you receive a package from the other side of the world, there's a good chance it traveled through the Suez Canal. And that's why this remarkable waterway continues to stand as one of the greatest engineering and economic achievements in modern history. Thanks for watching Hermosa Explained. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more videos about the world's greatest mega projects, global trade routes, businesses, fascinating places, and luxury. See you in the next episode.